If you're over 65 and you're getting ready to buy another car, I want you to hear something that might surprise you. You may have been taught your entire life that if you can afford to pay cash for something, that's exactly what you should do. And normally, that's pretty good advice. But when it comes to buying your next car, paying cash isn't automatically the smartest financial decision. In fact, depending on your situation, handing a dealership a check for 30 or $40,000 or even 50,000 could leave you financially weaker than you were before you drove that car off the lot. And that's what we're talking about today. Because when you're 65 or older, your money has a different job. You're not just trying to make money, you're trying to protect the money you've worked your entire life to save. So before you pay cash for your next vehicle, there are several things I want you to think about. I'm Grandma Miranda, and if you're 65 or older, grab a cup of coffee and let's talk about it. Welcome back to Ask Grandma Miranda. Here we talk about life after 55, money, family, relationships, and those things nobody seems to tell us until we learn them the hard way. And today's conversation is about something almost all of us eventually have to deal with: buying a car. And I'm going to say something right at the beginning. I'm not telling you that you should never pay cash for a car. If you have plenty of money set aside, you can comfortably afford the car. And paying cash doesn't hurt your emergency savings or your long term financial security. Then paying cash may be perfectly reasonable. But I don't want you to automatically assume that cash is always better than financing, because it isn't. Well, don't empty your savings for a car. Let's start with the biggest problem. You could have 50,000 sitting in your savings account, right? And you find a beautiful car for $40,000. You think, I can afford it. I'll just pay cash. But can you really afford it? Because after you write that check, you don't have $50,000 anymore. You have 10,000. And that's a very different financial situation. At 65 or older, you may have fewer opportunities to replace a large amount of money that quickly. An unexpected roof repair, a major home repair, family emergency, a large insurance bill, or an unexpected expense you never saw coming. Your car isn't an emergency fund. Your savings account is. So before you hand over that cash, ask yourself, if I pay for this car today, will I still have enough money left to handle an emergency tomorrow? That's the question. Point number 2 is low interest financing can sometimes make sense. Here's where things get interesting. Sometimes manufacturers or lenders offer financing at unusually low interest rates. If you're offered a genuinely low rate, it may be worth comparing the cost of financing with that cash could otherwise be doing for you. For example, let's say you have $40,000 available. You could spend an entire $40,000 on a vehicle, or you could make a substantial down payment and finance part of the purchase. Now, I'm not saying you should take a loan simply because you can. You have to look at the actual numbers. What's the interest rate? How long is the loan? What's the total amount you'll pay? Are there fees? And what happens to your savings if you make that big cash purchase? You need to compare the total cost, not just the monthly payment. Because a $600 monthly payment may sound manageable, but if you're paying that $600 for 7 years, that's a very different conversation. Number 3, don't let a dealer use your cash against you. Here's another thing I want you to understand. When you're buying a car, don't walk into the dealership thinking, I'm paying cash, so I'm automatically in the strongest negotiating position. Not necessarily. Dealerships can make money in several different parts of a transaction, including financing and add ons. So your goal should be to negotiate the total price of the vehicle first. Don't get distracted by how much do you want your monthly payment to be. That's not the most important question. The better question is, what is the total out the door price? That means the vehicle price plus the taxes, fees, and other required costs. Know that number. Then you can decide how you want to pay. Number four, your cash may be more valuable as a safety net. This is especially important for people 65 and older. Let's say you have $100,000 in savings and you want a $35,000 car. It might seem easy. Just pay cash. But what if that 100,000 represents most of your liquid savings? Now you've just moved 35,000 of your financial security into a depreciating asset. And cars generally lose value over time. Your car may be necessary, it may be comfortable, it may be reliable, it may even be something you've dreamed about. But it's not the same thing as having $35,000 available in your savings account. That's why I want you to think about it. Liquidity. Liquidity simply means having money available when you need it. And as we get older, having accessible money can become incredibly important. Now, but don't borrow just because you have money. Now, let me make something very clear. I don't want you leaving this video thinking, Grandma Miranda told me to finance my car. No, that's not what I'm saying. Debt isn't automatically good. If you're offered a high interest loan financing a car you really can't afford, or taking on a payment that makes your monthly budget uncomfortable, don't do it just because you want to keep your cash in the bank. Paying thousands of dollars in interest simply to avoid spending your savings doesn't necessarily make sense. This is why you have to look at your individual situation. There's no one size fits everyone. Don't focus only on the monthly payment. Here's one of the biggest traps when buying a car. The salesperson asks, what monthly payment are you comfortable with? And you say, well, maybe $500. Then suddenly you're looking at a longer loan. Maybe the payment comes down, but the total cost goes up. You didn't make the car cheaper. You simply stretch the payments out longer. So when you shop for your next vehicle, don't start with, how much can I afford every month? Start with, how much can I responsibly afford to spend in total? That's a much better question. Number 7, consider your retirement income. If you're retired, there's another question you will need to ask. Where does your monthly income come from? Social Security, a pension, retirement accounts, investments, part-time work? And how predictable is that income? A car payment that feels comfortable today might not feel so comfortable if your expenses increase later. That's why I want you to look at your entire financial picture, not just the car, not just the payment, your whole life. Now, number 8, the smart decision may be less expensive, maybe a less expensive car. And here's something I want something to emphasize here. The smartest financial move isn't deciding between cash and financing. Sometimes it's buying less expensive cars. Maybe you don't need $50,000 SUV. Maybe the $30,000 vehicle does everything you need. And if you're retired or approaching retirement, there's nothing wrong with saying, I don't need to impress anybody. I want something safe, reliable, comfortable, affordable, and dependable. That's wisdom. Let's imagine two people. Person has 60,000 in savings and buys a $45,000 car with cash. And now they have 15,000 left. Person B has the same 60,000 but chooses a $30,000 car and puts a substantial amount down, financing the rest at a favorable rate. Which person made the smarter decision? We don't know, because we don't know their interest rate, income, expenses, emergency fund, investment options, or financial goals. And that's the point. The smartest decision depends on the numbers, not on a slogan, not on what your neighbor did, not on what your parents taught you, and not on what the salesperson tells you. What I want you to do before you buy your next car, sit down at your kitchen table, write down these 5 numbers. Number 1, how much money do I have in savings? Number 2, how much will I have left after buying the car? Number 3, what interest rate am I being offered? Number 4, what is the total amount I'll pay if I finance? And number 5, how will this purchase affect my monthly budget? Then ask yourself one final question. If something unexpectedly happens 6 months from now, will I be glad I kept some of my cash? That question could save you a lot of stress. The biggest lesson here, what I really want you to take away from today's conversation, at 65 and beyond, financial security isn't about looking wealthy. It's about feeling secure. It's knowing that if the air conditioner breaks, you can fix it. If your roof needs work, you can handle it. If your family needs help, you have options. And if an unexpected bill arrives and you don't have to panic, then your money should give you choices. And that's why I don't want you automatically handing over every dollar you just have, because you can technically afford to pay cash. Sometimes paying cash is the right decision. Sometimes financing is a better decision. And so sometimes the best decision is simply buying a less expensive vehicle. So before you buy your next car, slow down. Don't let the excitement of that new vehicle make the financial decision for you. Do the math. Look at the interest rate. Look at the total cost. Look at your savings. And most importantly, look at your future. Because at our age, we're not just buying a car. We're protecting the life we've worked so hard to build. If this video helped you think differently about your next car purchase, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're 55, 65, 75 and beyond, I'd love to hear from you. Would you pay cash for your next car, or would you consider financing it? Tell me in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed to Ask Grandma Miranda, I'd love to have you here, because we're talking about things that matter in this chapter of our lives. Take care of yourself. Protect your money. And remember, you worked hard for it. Now make your money work wisely for you. I'll see you in the next video.